Hey everyone, welcome to Fit Dad UK.
Hi.
So we're going to do just a quick introduction to our Workout 1 video.
Do you want me to take over at that point?
I can edit that. As long as you pause after you talk and you just look forward,
Yeah.
I can edit it.
Just clip this. So we've come up with a dumbbell only at home full body workout routine that we thought would be useful to publish online. It hits all the major muscle groups, and if you do this routine 2 to 3 times a week, then you're in good shape for starting your journey onto resistance training.
So we're going to do this with a couple of different weights. We've got Keith with his proper weights and my lighter weights. I've not done much weight training yet. I'm more football and running, so we'll give you a little bit of a different approach depending on what sort of level you're at, so you can get an idea.
Yeah, and I'm a lot less running. But no, it's a good routine, and especially at the moment with everything going on with regards to the global pandemic, there's more and more of us that are forced to or choosing to train at home. So without further ado, let's get stuck into the workout.
So starting with the upper body warm up, this is going to work your trapezius, deltoid, pectoral and tricep muscles. It's also going to work the deeper local rotator cuff muscles around your shoulder as well. So let's get into this one.
So when doing the banded pass-throughs, the idea is to touch the front of your body with the band and then over the top of the head and then touch the back of your body. This helps improve shoulder mobility, opening up the shoulders. On the band pull apart, you want to grab the band with a little amount of tension and then pull away from the body. The cue is to kind of pull towards the walls as opposed to pulling back towards you, till the band is on your chest, and this again helps open up the shoulder, but it also starts off a little bit of work for the rear delt, and generally the posterior chain are worked a little bit less than the front of the body anyway.
Which brings us into the lower body warm up. So we're going to use a basic body squat for this. It's going to work your abdominals, your quads, tibialis anterior in the front of the shin. It's also going to work up your back and your traps, your lats, and also obviously into your glutes, hamstrings and calf muscles.
So the bodyweight squats are pretty straightforward. There's not much to concentrate on here. With regards to how deep you go, try and go so at least your quads, your thighs are level, parallel to the floor, or if you can, slightly lower. If you find any discomfort in your ankles or your knees when going any lower, then that's fine to just go to about level, but if you can squat down to level, then that's perfect.
So that's your upper and lower body warm-ups. That brings us into the main workout routine. So you can see a list here. We're going to do 7 exercises. Take a screenshot of this just for reference. It gives you your sets, your reps, and obviously your rest times. And obviously there's a diagram here showing you all the different muscles that are going to be worked for this entire workout. So let's get into the first exercise, which is going to be the Romanian deadlift. So you can see all the muscles we're going to be using during this exercise, including the erector spinae here and various other muscles up the back, gluteus maximus to name just one of the glutes, obviously all of your hamstrings, into the calves, and also we'll fire up your adductor muscles as well. So we're going to do 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps with 2 to 3 minutes rest between each set.
That was just me chuckling there at the start at something funny that Paul had said. For the Romanian deadlift, the main cue that you want to think of when you're doing the repetition is think about your hips and your glutes and moving those backwards as opposed to bending over forwards. And then when you stand up, again, try and power from your hamstrings through your glutes and into the upright position. When it comes to how low you go on the Romanian deadlift, drop down as much as is comfortable without your back rounding out. If your back stays flat at the point where it starts to round, that's as deep as you need to go. For different people, different physiologies, different anatomies, that'll be at different heights. It could be knee height, it could be ankle height, it could be shin. Just what the range of motion that you need to use is whatever feels comfortable for you. And as Paul said, yeah, it's between 8 and 12 reps depending on the weight that you're using, obviously.
Which brings us into the incline dumbbell press. So this is obviously going to work your pectoral muscles, the anterior deltoid, the front of your shoulder, and also your triceps, obviously. Also works the serratus anterior, which is a muscle which comes from underneath your shoulder blade and is often called the boxer's muscle. So it looks like little fingers coming around the side onto your rib cage. So really good exercise. We're going to do 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps with 2 to 3 minutes rest in between. Let's get into this one.
So the incline chest press, whether it be with dumbbells or with a barbell, is focused a little more, even though it hits the whole chest, on the clavicle portion of the chest or the upper part, because nobody ever had too much upper chest. The cues on this one, you need to try and make sure that your elbows are a little bit more flared than they are on the flat bench. To try and make sure you do activate the upper chest as much as possible. Drop the dumbbells till they're about level with your chest till you feel a nice stretch. Controlled on the eccentric, which is the dropping the weight down, and then a good amount of power on the concentric, which is the actual press, up to lockout. I try personally to keep my arms a little bit further apart to keep tension on the chest, rather than bringing them up to the top in the middle, as it takes all the tension off your chest muscle there. But yeah, great exercise, this one of my favourites.
So that brings us into the Bulgarian split squat. Really good exercise for the legs. It's going to work your quads, it's going to work your glutes, it's going to work into your adductors and also your calf muscles as well. So 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps each side, 1 minute rest between legs.
The Bulgarian split squat, this one is a killer exercise. Really good for the quads and the glutes, as Paul just mentioned. The distance between the bench and your standing leg, if it's further away it's a little bit more quad focused, if it's closer it's a little bit more glute focused. But just find a range of motion that suits you and your body type. If balance is an issue, then hold on to something solid preferably, don't be pulling things down on top of you to maintain your balance. You'll see I've only got Paul's dumbbells on this one, because you really don't need much additional weight, and you may have noticed I'm carrying a little bit of extra timber up top anyway. But these are really good leg builders, and really good for ankle stability, etc., for the balance.
So moving into the standing incline row, great exercise for your back, engaging some of those posterior rotator cuff muscles as well. So your teres minor, infraspinatus, also teres major, posterior delts, mid and lower traps, rhomboids, bringing the shoulder blades together into your lats as well, and you get some engagement from your pec muscles and your brachialis. So 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps each side, 2 to 3 minutes rest between sets.
So the bent over incline row, this is brilliant for hitting every single part of your back, and the fact that you're doing it stood freestanding means your spinal erectors or your lower back, it's a lot of work as well, so it strengthens those, which is part of the all important core. With regards to range of motion, as you can see with me here, drop the weight until your shoulders are rounded, and then pull the weight up to your sides, and then retract your shoulder blades so that you're essentially arching your back upwards, and that's 1 full repetition. Go heavy with these if you can, but only go heavy enough that you feel safe and comfortable with. This particular one I did there, I've got 38 kilos and I did it for sets of 8, and that was enough for me to be feeling it the next day. But yeah, the really good exercise. You need to really focus on rows as part of any resistance training, weight training regime.
So into the lateral dumbbell raises, it's going to work your lateral and anterior deltoid muscles and also your serratus anterior. So we're going to do 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps You can do it each side or both together. We're going to show you first of all both together, and then the alternative doing individuals. 1.5 to 2 minutes rest between sets.
So this is the first of the isolation exercises for the side delts to get that 3D shoulder look, as they say, and you can't really beat the lateral raises for activation of the side delts. You'll see here on my first set I did with the dumbbells, they were probably slightly too heavy really for good form. There's a little bit too much body English. I'm kind of flicking using my whole body, so I probably could have done with taking a couple of kilos off. You really want to be controlled from down by your sides up to just above parallel with your shoulder. The banded version, really good versions, because they increase in tension as they rise, as your shoulder gets stronger, the resistance gets higher, so it's good. It's a little bit easier on the joints as well. You'll see I'm standing wide leg stance basically, so that at the bottom of the rep there is some tension, so I'm pulling straight away. You can, instead of putting it round your opposing leg, you can always just wrap a band around something solid, a table leg that obviously you're not going to pull it and pull the table across the room, or you can get those hooks that go underneath doors, etc., or anything solid. But I would recommend that you have a look at the bands for the lateral raises, or if you are doing with dumbbells only, don't ego lift with it. Make sure that you can comfortably and safely control the weight. Shoulders and elbows are particularly problematic for gentlemen of a slightly older age, shall we say. But yeah, great exercise. You've got to keep these in because they do really activate the shoulders.
So into the tricep extensions or skull crushers. So these are pictured here on the incline. We're actually going to do them supine or lying flat. So obviously this is going to work your triceps, which is why they're called tricep extensions. That's the main sort of area it's going to be working. It will engage your abdominals a little bit on the incline, but not so much on the with supine when you're perfectly flat. So again, 3 sets. We're going to do 8 to 10 reps, 2 to 3 minutes rest between each set.
So the wonderfully titled skull crushers, fairly straightforward exercise this. What you want to focus on is trying to keep the upper part of your arm, or the lower as you are looking at it here, from your shoulder to your elbow, upright and as stationary as possible. Control the weight down till the point that your tricep is fully extended, and then bring it up to the point that you just about lock out, keeping a little bit of tension on the tricep. Again, brilliant for activation of both heads of the tricep, these, so they are a must for any routine.
So the chest dumbbell flies. So these are going to work your upper and lower pectoralis major, and your biceps brachii as well, and also your anterior delt. So 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps, 2 to 3 minutes rest between sets.
So the dumbbell chest flies, they work the chest muscles in a slightly different way to presses. We've done an incline dumbbell press earlier on. This one really takes the pectoral to absolute maximum stretch, and it's essentially only then with a little bit of front delt which bring them up to the top. So again, lighter weights, control, try and drop the weight to just below parallel with your shoulders. You will feel it in your chest, and make sure you start lighter with the control and then work up to heavier. But these are really good for focus on the chest, so you can go to failure really on these for the last exercise of the routine. So there we have it. That was the workout routine. You should get that done in 45 minutes to an hour. You can, if you're pushed for time, look at doing supersets, so doing a couple of the exercises back to back. So for example, the Romanian deadlifts, you could do them back to back with the incline chest press, so on and so forth, and the isolation exercises that you've got at the end. You can also do those as a giant set, so you do one after another after another. It's also good for keeping your heart rate up and making it a little bit more cardiovascular.
So keep a lookout, we're going to add a new one soon, workout 2, slightly different routine, similar thing, you can do it at home with your dumbbells, weights, so yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, if you like the video, please feel free to like the video and subscribe, hit the notifications bell if you want to be made aware when we post something next time. And remember, who's the daddy?